Thanks so much for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham.
And I'm Charlene Aaron. Tropical storm Arthur has strengthened into a Category 1 hurricane, the first one of the season. The storm is on track to batter the East Coast just in time to disrupt 4th of July vacation plans. North and South Carolina are set to get hit the hardest. Mandatory evacuations off the coast of North Carolina as the first hurricane of the season takes shape. North Carolina's Outer Banks, a popular getaway spot along the shore, could be hit the hardest. Residents and vacationers loaded up and headed out ahead of the storm.
If it's mandatory, you have to go, so that there's no decision to make.
With hurricane watches and warnings in place, the governor has declared a state of emergency for 25 counties. And it's not just North Carolina that's worried about Hurricane Arthur. Officials in several states on the coast have closed beaches. Florida raised red flags to warn of rough surf and rip currents, and swimmers at some beaches have been advised to only go in areas of water where lifeguards are stationed.
We got rip currents and stuff out here with the storm coming in.
It feels like somebody is pulling on your coat. If you had clothes on, they were just pulling you and you couldn't stand up straight.
Some towns have rescheduled 4th of July festivities ahead of the storm, and many business owners hope it doesn't keep the crowds away.
We're doing really good business today, but we have heard people talking about leaving. So if they leave, then our business is going to go down.
We got lots of staff to make the sales. We just need not to have the storm.
But some vacationers aren't letting the storm spoil their holiday vacation plans.
We're still going to have a blast.
All right.
We've got the indoor pool, the jacuzzi, everything.
For more on Arthur's path and what to expect over the next few days, we turn to AccuWeather's Mark Mancuso. Mark?
Hurricane Arthur has formed. It's our first named system, the Atlantic season, and it continues to intensify off the southeast coast of the U.S. Hurricane warnings have been issued for parts of eastern North Carolina. Tropical storm warnings north and south of here. Hurricane force winds and hurricane conditions developing in eastern North Carolina by this evening. As our storm intensifies off the coast, it's already spreading rain bands to the coast of South Carolina. Bursts of heavy rain and strong winds gusting over 40 miles an hour at some of these squalls. Here you can see the center circulation of the eye. It's moving slowly north. It will turn northeastward and bring a rough surf to coastal areas today. Dangerous swimming conditions. And as Arthur pulls its way up the coast, it'll be getting stronger. Winds could approach 100 miles an hour in the Outer Banks late tonight and early on Friday. Eastern North Carolina, we'll see those winds gusting 60 to 80 miles an hour, and we'll see torrential downpours of rain. We could pick up 3 to 6 inches of rain close to the center of Arthur. We'll also see quite a bit of flooding of the sounds here. First with an easterly flow, then a northerly flow, then we'll have the sound side flooding of the Outer Banks. So a water rise. And we'll also see a surge here with this system. So that's going to be a big problem in these low-lying areas. Eventually, Arthur gets picked up by a trough. It will speed its way off the northeast coast over the weekend.
We'll be following the storm as it makes its track up the East Coast. Check with CBN News for continuous updates.
America's Homeland Security Office is pushing for tighter security at foreign airports with direct flights to the U.S. Intelligence officials are concerned that terrorist groups in Yemen and Syria are trying to develop a new generation of bombs. A U.S. counterterrorism official says they've seen signs that efforts are being made to develop bombs that could go undetected through airport security. Homeland Security officials are also on the lookout for Islamic radicals who have trained in Syria and may have American or European passports.
All of my European counterparts are focused on this all day, every day, trying to track those who are going and those who might come back.
Passengers flying into the U.S. from overseas will face even tighter security at airports starting this month.
Police arrested a teenage girl in Denver for trying to provide support to the foreign terrorist organization known as ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Court documents claim Shannon Maureen Connolly told members of the Joint Terrorism Task Force, quote, "If they think I'm a terrorist, I'll give them something to think I am." Officials began investigating Connolly after she was spotted in Muslim clothing, wandering around a church and taking notes about the buildings.
She was carrying a backpack, and she had a notebook pad out of taking notes at different places. So that alerts us right away. She became a little bit more hostile. Then eventually we came to her and said, listen, it's just probably better that you not come back.
The 19-year-old reportedly met a 32-year-old Tunisian terrorist online who had arranged for her to travel to Syria by way of Turkey. Conley was arrested at Denver International Airport. Officials found materials on jihad and al-Qaeda in her luggage. The FBI had tried to talk her out of going to help ISIS, but she refused.
Terrorists fired more than a dozen rockets on southern Israel today, one tearing into a home in Sderot, wounding 10 people. Another hit a nearby house and knocked out the town's electricity. Israeli military responded with precision airstrikes on 15 Hamas targets. Defense officials say Israel has also begun sending troop reinforcements to the Gaza Strip, which is controlled by Hamas. Israeli officials arrested hundreds of Hamas members in the West Bank in response to the terrorist group's killing of 3 Israeli teenage boys. Rocket fire from Gaza and Israeli airstrikes have intensified since the teens went missing and since a Palestinian teen was murdered.
The Palestinian Authority has been rewarding terrorists who murder Israelis. Some are calling them the program Cash for Killers. You may be wondering who pays for it, and the answer, you do. But some of that money comes out of your tax dollars. Eric Stakelback has this eye-opening story.
Obama administration officials have praised Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas as someone with whom Israel can do business. Yet Abbas recently chose to do business with those committed to Israel's destruction. Abbas struck a deal with the terror group Hamas last month, making it part of a united Palestinian government. The move left some wondering whether Abbas's Palestinian Authority ever really wanted peace with Israel in the first place.
Peace doesn't have a chance because peace doesn't pay. Because anytime they want some income, all they've got to do is commit an act of terrorism.
In his book, Financing the Flames, Edwin Black details how the Palestinian Authority rewards terrorists who have killed Israelis.
As soon as a terrorist commits an act of terrorism against an innocent civilian in Israel, whether that's cutting the throat of a child or stabbing a man standing at a bus or blowing up a building, as soon as that man does that, he goes on a special salary from the Palestinian Authority under Palestinian law, a law known as the law of the prisoner.
The more Israelis killed, the bigger the financial reward.
He gets a graduated salary depending on how heinous the crime is. If he kills 5 people and gets 5 years, he gets 1 salary. If he kills double that number and gets double the sentence, he gets double the salary. And so this actually incentivizes the misery, mayhem, and carnage that the terrorists commit.
Black told CBN News this is a long-held policy. He spent time on the ground interviewing Israeli and Palestinian officials and found that the PA does not hide this Cash for Killers program.
There's an entire ministry called the Palestinian Ministry of Prisoners that actually oversees the distribution of this money, and there is its counterpart in the civilian sector known as the Prisoners Club. Now, this money constitute some of the best salaries in the Palestinian Authority. So you can literally go from poverty to wealth in the Palestinian Authority by committing an act of terrorism. This amounts to about 6% of the Palestinian budget. This money is paid on a priority basis. You can make as much as $3,000 or $4,000 a month while in prison just for committing this act of terrorism.
According to Black, some of the money can be tracked back to American taxpayers. The U.S. currently provides $400 million per year to the Palestinian Authority.
There's a law against any of our money benefiting terrorism, but in point of fact, approximately 6% of all the money we fund to the Palestinian Authority is proudly diverted by them to pay terrorist salaries. The money comes, it goes right to the prisoner. The prisoner signs a POA, a power of attorney. He transmits that money to his bank account, to his lawyer, to his girlfriend, to his family, to his mother, to his organization. And this is a system that we have in place. Our State Department knows it. Our administration knows it.
In the wake of Abbas's deal with Hamas, Republican Senator Rand Paul introduced legislation that would cut funding to the Palestinian Authority. The Obama administration, however, plans to continue engaging the PA, meaning more terrorist salaries paid for in part by U.S. taxpayers.
They would rather starve than see their prisoners, who are their heroes, go without remuneration for the acts of violence that they have committed against innocent civilians, homes, buses, trains. It's an astonishment, and I think it's time for America to wake up.
Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News, Washington.
The Christian mother who gave birth in a Sudanese prison says her baby may be disabled because of her treatment. Miriam Ibrahim was sentenced to death by Sudan's Islamic regime for refusing to give up her Christianity. When she was arrested, she was pregnant with her second child. Prison authorities refused to take the shackles off her legs when she went into labor. Ibrahim tells CNN that because of those shackles, her delivery was very difficult, and she worries her newborn daughter may never be able to walk on her own. U.S. officials say Ibrahim and her family are still in Sudan at the U.S. Embassy.
Coming up, border battle as illegal immigrant children stream across the border, while some are offering aid while others are slamming the door.
Pat Boone here with a word about bank safety. Do you think your money is safe in the bank? Don't bank on it. A generation ago, bank accounts felt secure and they paid interest. This encouraged the virtue of thrift and saving. But today, bank accounts pay virtually nothing, and they've shifted from low risk to high risk. For example, did you know your money deposited in most U.S. banks could be subject to limited withdrawal and even confiscation? Oh, yes. And that's just the first of 19 risks explained in a new white paper entitled Don't Bank on It. You still think your bank deposits are safe? You better get this vital new Don't Bank on It white paper now. Call the number on the screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard. Learn how simple it is to become your own banker today.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands, so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
Government and nonprofit agencies in Dallas County, Texas, are scrambling to take in thousands of immigrant children who cross the border all alone. The community already has about 1,000 alien minors without parents. Now it's pledging to take in 2,000 more. Religious groups, including Catholic Charities and the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, are among the many groups stepping up to help.
That is really the core of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, to help those in need, and providing that immediate assistance is something that our reputation has grown from.
These kids need a lot of help in nurturance and assurance in making sure that their adjustment to life in the United States is successful.
Meanwhile, the town of Murrieta, California is turning away busloads of undocumented families. At a town hall meeting, people say the U.S. can't afford to provide for a massive influx of needy people who aren't citizens.
We cannot even take care of our American vets.
We can send them to California, and then we're going to transport them on a bus to Murrieta. Why can't we just transport them on the bus to Tijuana and send them back across the border?
We cannot return them to Mexico if they are not from Mexico.
The Border Patrol is arresting about 1,200 people a day, so it's likely more illegal immigrants will be sent to other communities across the U.S.
A VA hospital in Albuquerque is reviewing its policy after a vet died waiting for an ambulance to take him to the emergency room just 500 yards away. Eyewitnesses say the man collapsed in the cafeteria of what looked like a heart attack. Staff followed procedure and called 911, but it took half an hour for the ambulance to arrive and transport the victim to the emergency room, which is located in another building on the hospital compound. In fact, it's only a 4-minute walk from the cafeteria. Some are questioning why he was not strapped to a gurney and wheeled to the emergency room.
Billy Graham's daughter, Ann Graham Lotz, is asking thousands of people across the nation to answer a national call to prayer this week. Lotz warns that the end times are near. She stated on her prayer website that Christians should pray that God would, quote, restrain, protect, and deliver his people from the evil that has come into our world. Lotz hopes the week-long event will result in a national spiritual awakening. The prayer week will end with 7 hours of fasting on July 7th. Meanwhile, the National Day of Prayer Task Force is also hosting a national prayer call featuring leaders from across the country. Tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, people are invited to participate by calling in. And you can get more information on that at our website, cbnnews.com.
Up next, the attack you never saw coming, shutting down America's power grid. The threat of domestic terrorism that could bring this nation to its knees.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
What if suddenly your electricity simply vanished and you had no lights, no heat or air conditioning, and no cell phone or internet?
Well, if terrorists took down the power grid, it could lead to chaos across the country. And as Mark Martin reports, it could happen much more easily than you think.
With its maze of electric equipment, the Metcalf Transmission Substation quietly took up space in California's Santa Clara County. On April 16th last year, that all changed. Take a look at this surveillance video. You can see the muzzle flash of rifles and sparks from bullets striking the chain link fence around the substation. For nearly 20 minutes, snipers unloaded, then vanished before police arrived. Even the shell casings left behind, the kind ejected by AK-47s, carried no fingerprints. Authorities later discovered the military-style attack blasted 17 giant transformers and 6 circuit breakers, resulting in more than $15 million in damage. Those transformers send power to an area that heavily relies on it, Silicon Valley. Former FBI agent Rick Smith, who was a part of the anti-terrorism unit, said the message is clear.
Obviously, it wasn't just a couple of guys out having a beer. There was some orchestrated attack that was planned, and it looked somewhat professional. If you don't have any power, you obviously have disruption, and the message is that our facilities were vulnerable.
Fortunately, in the Metcalf case, electric grid officials rerouted power to prevent a blackout. Still, that did not stop John Wellinghoff, the chairman of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission at the time, from telling the Wall Street Journal the attack was, quote, the most significant incident of domestic terrorism involving the grid that has ever occurred in the U.S. That statement unleashed a firestorm from lawmakers and security experts wondering about the vulnerability of the American power grid in the event of a physical attack and EMP, or electromagnetic pulse attack.
That's where you would basically wipe out our electric grid and any instruments that use computer chips.
California Assemblyman Jim Patterson, vice chair of the Utilities and Commerce Committee, agrees with Wellinghoff.
What keeps me awake at night, and a lot of the people who produce and distribute power in California, is this whole question about whether this was isolated or whether we need to see this as the beginning of a new security risk. The big picture is, though, that this is an indication of the soft targets and the variety of targets in this new attack on America.
Rich Lorden of the Electric Power Research Institute calls the attack and its execution unprecedented.
So the feeling is this may have been preparation for an act of war.
Lorden's colleague at the Institute strongly disagrees.
I think he was off base for making that sensational kind of remark. I don't understand why he would even say that, and you know, we've had quite a conversation since then about this.
Gelling's thoughts on the motivation behind the attack, however, don't change his concern for the security of the grid.
It's an ongoing battle to stay one step ahead of these folks who might want to do us some harm, not just physical harm to the power system, but also the cyber side.
There's a lot of ground to cover in that battle. The U.S. power grid is extensive, and from the East Coast to the West Coast, many substations are located in remote areas with minimum security. This substation in rural Northern California does have a high, thick chain link fence with barbed wire on top, and you can see the main gate is locked. But look, I'm standing right next to the facility, and there are no security cameras or security personnel nearby. CBN News discovered the same situation in the largest city in the country. This is the Farragut Switch Yard. The electricity that comes through here powers the financial district and also much of the New York City subway system. As you can see, it's only protected by a flimsy fence and minimum security. If it's accessible to us, experts say it's also accessible to terrorists.
As horrible as 9/11 was to this nation and to the city, had the terrorists flown 2 planes into this facility, the consequences to New York City and to the nation would have been orders of magnitude more damaging than what actually happened.
I hope we never get to the point where we have to monitor this entire infrastructure, which is literally millions of miles of wire, 150,000 poles, and roughly the same number of substations. Impossible.
However, Gellings and other leaders are by no means throwing in the towel. Pacific Gas and Electric, owner of the Metcalf substation, has worked with federal and local agencies and consultants to increase security. Among other things, company leaders plan to put up opaque fencing, advanced camera systems and lighting, and more alarms.
These are things we've already done: perform a risk assessment, evaluate the gaps we have, and then implement strategies to fill those gaps.
One strategy is increasing patrols around substations. As CBN News walked around and shot video of the Metcalf substation, it took about half an hour before we encountered inquisitive deputies with the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department.
There's a lot more patrolling. There's a lot more public safety eyes. There's a lot more tracking and identifying of potential domestic threat with respect to that kind of chatter.
As far as the hardening of the grid itself, Gelling says the Electric Power Research Institute is literally developing a Kevlar vest to put around transformers to protect them. He says researchers are also working on devices that would sense the vibrations of people and report that movement to provide more awareness of the situation on location.
And then we want to get overall situational awareness and use such as unmanned aerial vehicles to actually look at a whole area of the power system.
The drone idea has been met with reluctance from the FAA. That's not stopping power industry leaders and others, though, from exploring options to fortify a grid, which has shown itself to be quite vulnerable. Mark Martin, CBN News, California.
Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Hi, I'm George Foreman. People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can provide patent referrals and submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-461-9290. That's 1-800-461-9290.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Finally today, CBN is using the World Cup as an opportunity to preach the gospel.
An 11-part series called Global Passion is airing on Enlace TV network and online. Each program features analysis and reaction to the World Cup games, stories of legendary players, and location reports. There are also stories of Christian ministries using the World Cup as an opportunity to talk about Jesus, and testimonies from respected soccer players about their passion for Christ. The series will air throughout the World Cup to reach Spanish-speaking people around the world. You can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international.
Well, that's going to do it for now on CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
Take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a thankful Thursday, everybody.